Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Really quick response to Ron Haggerty's new thread that he put out. Just thought I could knock it out really quick this morning before I started working, so just let me kind of jump right into it. But simply put, on this thread, he just wanted us to show anything that revolved around the whole maritime thing, anything that deals with boats, oceans, just water, blah blah blah, just anything around that subject matter. So, and it could be anything. It could be the subject of a song, title, artwork, whatever. So I went through and pulled a few things out. So let's jump right into it. First one here is Blue October. This is foiled. I don't think this has ever been pressed on vinyl unless it was done limited, maybe the UK or something like that. But my favorite album by them, I really wish they would press it on vinyl. They've done some of their other stuff, but yeah, I'm going to pull this out for the song Into the Ocean, which is definitely my favorite song by them. So I thought that definitely worked its way in. Next year, Sade, Love Deluxe, and this might be one that doesn't immediately come to mind for this particular thread, but it was the first album that popped into my mind when I saw the subject matter, and it's mainly for the song Mermaid, which is the last song on side 2 of this album. Basically, Mermaid is kind of unique because, especially for this thread, because it's an instrumental. You know, there's no lyrics to it. But I mean, of course, the title track, the title, Mermaid, obviously has a connection. But if you really go and listen to the song, if you're not familiar with it, it really is almost like the perfect soundtrack for something just kind of swimming through the ocean and experiencing the beauty of what it sees or experiences there. Like when you listen to it, you really feel yourself being in the ocean. So if you're not familiar with that, just go give it a quick listen, whether you actually like the song or not, but I think you would get a feel for kind of what I'm saying there. But overall, the album itself, definitely my favorite Sade album. I mean, this one just, of course, it has the big hits like No Ordinary Love that everyone knew, and Kiss of Life, Cherish the Day were always huge hits. But, songs like I Couldn't Love You More, or even better yet, Bulletproof Soul. Oh my gosh. That this album is just Sade at her peak, in my opinion. So we'll go from Sade to Iron Maiden, because that's how we do. This, of course, is Somewhere in Time, and I pulled this one for the song Sea of Madness. It was also one of the first things that popped in my mind when I went to look for things. So, second time this album has popped up in the last thread or two, but it's not shocking considering it's arguably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Iron Maiden albums. And then we'll go over to Christopher Cross. How can we, talk about this particular subject matter without bringing in the song Sailing? But Chris was just one of my big loves when it comes to just the whole late 70s, early 80s soft rock type of thing. Sailing, Ride Like the Wind, Minstrel Gigolo, just all that great stuff. And then we'll go from Christopher Cross, which is funny the order these are popping up in now, to Audioslave. And this is their 2005 release. Really cool 2 LP on blue vinyl. But yeah, obviously you see the cover there, really kind of says it all. Great shot of just kind of an ocean view there. And it's really neat to, I don't know how well it's showing up here in the video, but if you actually look at the cover, like it's so kind of detailed between the shadows and everything that it almost makes it it looks coarse, like it would feel like sandpaper if you could actually touch that. So kind of a cool shot. Then of course Great White, that's another easy one there with the shark in the ocean and everything back there. So this is Once Bitten. Of course, on this album you have the big hit Rock Me, which again is one of those songs that kind of gets lumped into the 80s hair thing. Everyone kind of knows it, it's easy to blow off. But I've always said when you go back and really pay attention to that song from front to back, that is a pretty perfect kind of rock song with the just the bluesy nature that they brought into it, the slow, smooth build-up of the song, the explosion within the song. I mean, it really is one of those like great tracks that was well put together from front to back. Next, Whitney Houston. This is the self-titled Whitney Houston from 1985. And I pulled this one out for, I guess you can't see it with that on there actually, but grab this really quick. But just kind of Whitney standing on the beach there. So that was the water connection there. And in case you're curious what that big thing is on the back, whenever an artist passes away, usually it starts spreading on social media that day. You'll hear about it on the news. And so usually what I do is the same day that I hear about it or that they pass, I'll just kind of go and just write some notes and thoughts on that artist. Just what I thought about them, how they, what they meant to me, or what I liked about them and all of that. And then I just put on that big sticker and just put it on the back. So every now and then when you go and pull the album, you just kind of, you reflect on that. And just another one of the obsessive type of things I do with my organizing and stuff within my collection. But let's move right along. The Jazz Singer by Neil Diamond. And I pulled this one out because of the song on the Robert E. Lee, which is kind of more or less him talking about being on like a riverboat type of thing. Even when you listen to it, you can definitely hear it. There's kind of a New Orleans jazzy kind of element to it. But yes, that's definitely one that I thought fit in well. Great soundtrack too. I've talked about this before in other videos where it seems like for some reason when I was in grade school or junior high, anytime I got sick and had to stay home, it seemed like the Jazz Singer always came on. And back then when I was that young, I never really watched it or got into the plot or paid attention, because a lot of it was about his struggle between going off and doing secular music and dealing with the religious aspect of his family, and him being married or meeting this other girl and then getting her pregnant and all that whole. So who's into that when you're in 5th grade or 6th grade? But what I always did was when it came on, it was just like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to sit here because I don't know when the ending is come, and I have to see him perform America again, like the way he did it at the end of the Jazz Singer. So I would just sit there, not even knowing what the heck's going on, and it's like, oh, here it is. Just fell in love with Neil back then. But yeah, great album. Love on the Rocks, Hello Again, America, Songs of Life, Amazed and Confused, Summer Love, Hey Louise, You Baby Jeru. I mean, everything on this album is fantastic. That is one heck of a soundtrack. Next, we'll move along to Spring Break. Another great 80s classic there. Be curious how many people are familiar with this movie or remember this movie. I think it was 83 or something like that. But of course, you got a girl laying on the beach there with the ocean there in the background. But Spring Break is another one of those silly 80s comedies that absolutely love. But definitely a decent soundtrack. The title track Spring Break was done by Cheap Trick, and then there was another really cool band on here called Hot Date, which is an all-girls group that was actually in the movie, and they do an awesome track called Do It To You on here, which is pretty cool. But great 80s movies, and again, I'd be curious how many of you are familiar with that. Next, Belle and Sebastian, The Boy with the Arab Strap. Of course, you can always recognize Belle and Sebastian's albums from a million miles away because they always do those different colored tints to their albums, which I think is awesome. It's kind of like their thing, and I think it's cool. But this is definitely my favorite album by them. And the song I'm picking off here for the thread is Ease Your Feet in the Sea. That definitely fits right into this particular thread. But really good album overall. Songs like Sleep the Clock Around, Ease Your Feet into the Sea, of course. Seymour Stein is probably my favorite song off of this album. But just a really, really great album. Now, if you don't like kind of the whiny thing that they can do with some of their softer stuff, you will, of course, totally hate this album. But in general, I think it's a fantastic album. Love it to death. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, you might have come across it once because I'm sure most people here in the VC have seen the movie High Fidelity. So if you're not familiar with this album, if you remember the scene in High Fidelity when Jack Black, Barry, I guess is the character name, came into work and he was like, holy shiite, what the is this? It's like, this is the album we've been enjoying and listening to all morning. Well, that, then, you know, he's like takes it out and he throws it across the room and he puts in his, you know, Monday morning tape. Well, the tape that he took out and threw across the room was The Boy with the Arab Strap. And the song that was playing was Seymour Stein. So whether you know that album or not, if you've seen that movie, you've at least stumbled across it once and maybe didn't know it. Next, we're going to go to, let's go to this one here. Another awesome album, which is Ride. This is their self-titled from 1990, I believe. But again, nice, awesome cover there, which is kind of that big wave flowing through the middle of the ocean there, and it just says Ride. So really, really cool album. Keen, Under the Iron Sea, of course, with the title and the album artwork there, which I've always thought was just a really cool piece, very simple yet really, really neat. Kind of funny too that I'm showing this album the same time that I'm showing that Blue October, because years and years and years ago I discovered both of these albums, like it was like the same week, I think, when I discovered the song Into the Ocean and Is It Any Wonder. So it's kind of funny that all these years later they both pop up in the same thread. But yeah. And last but not least, I'm not gonna leave my boy Bobby Darin out. You know, how can we talk about this particular topic without bringing up Beyond the Sea? I mean, of course, that's one that has to go in there. But, you know, the song off of this album, of course, is Mac the Knife, because that is my jam. That is my get up and just make me shuffle and make me dance and make me sing like I'm doing a freaking 1950s Las Vegas strip show. That song just brings a lot of happiness for me whenever I hear it. Just can't control myself around it. But even in that song, you know, he talks about, you know, shark bait, and he talks about, you know, dumping people at the bottom of the ocean or the sea. So I guess they could kind of fit into the thread too. But anyway, so there you go, VC. Ron, just want to jump on board really quick and do a response to the thread. I'll put a link down below so you guys can go check out Ron's video and jump on board as well. But as always, thanks for watching, guys, and we will talk to you soon.